I feel like understanding polarity and like what that means and what that looks like is so crucial for a romantic relationship. Like I just think it's so crucial. And so I would love if you guys could give kind of like a high level explanation of what that means for people. Because I think a lot of us, a lot of people don't even know what that even means in a relationship.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can think of polarity as the spark. It is, think of a battery. There's polar opposites. I actually like to call them polar complements because they really do complement each other. And I don't want people to think of these as opposing forces that are butting heads. These are energies that once they are understood, they can be cultivated and harnessed to create more spark, more sexual chemistry, fewer fights because you understand how your partner is engaging with life and the world because you understand their essence from a deeper level. So I'm speaking generally here just for ease of conversation. Obviously, this is a heterosexual relationship. These concepts apply no matter what your sexual orientation is. But for ease of conversation, I'm going to speak to a heterosexual relationship. One of the partners will be probably more of a masculine dominant essence. There is never enough freedom for the masculine dominant essence. They are driven, they are purposeful, they are analytical, they are top to bottom, right to left. Usually that tends to be more so of the male partner. And then the opposite is true for the feminine. For the woman, most of the time, it's the woman who has a feminine essence. The feminine is flow. It's the embodiment of love. It is living light. It is everything that changes. It is emotions. It is everything you see in nature that is cyclical and seasonal. So these two different polar complementary energies play together in such a way in nature and all around us, and also inside of us. I have a masculine hat that I can put on and that comes out like in my work day or when I'm working out. You got to be purpose driven. You got to be like on point, very focused on what it is that you're doing when you're moving, 200 pounds. And but I have a feminine essence, meaning I rest in my feminine, meaning that energetically, emotionally, and physically, I want Chase to penetrate me. That is the role more like the essence, the feeling of the feminine. How do you know you're feminine? Do you want your partner to penetrate you? Do you want your partner to like push you up against a wall and kiss your face? Then you're probably a feminine. And if on the other side of it, if you want to do the penetrating, you probably have more of a masculine essence. And so when you understand the basics of the masculine and feminine and how they play together inside of you, and then how they play together within relationship, it feels like a secret to the universe because you can identify, oh, damn, I still have my masculine alpha hat on from my work day. You have to wear one, I know, in the work that you do. But there's also a version of you that wants to rest in the feminine. And so we have to be aware, all of us have to be aware of when we are switching, when we are rotating out of our masculine essence or feminine essence, and consciously putting on my feminine essence hat so I can engage with my partner in the evening in a more receptive and flowing way instead of the analytical mind that I use in my workday. I know that's very bullet pointed, but
yeah, and then that's where like this work is there's so much here. And where I think it is important to have this phase of just learning and applying the structure of the masculine and feminine polarity in a relationship is important just to get the reps and to get the context so that then you can get to the degree that you're intuitive. You'll identify, like, I'm a dominant masculine, but I'm less, there's these various archetypes and these various attributes of masculinity. And I'm much less of the like alpha dog masculine. And I'm much more of a, like an alchemist, magician is the archetype that they talk about, or the lover. I'm a gentler masculine energy. also have the ability, I'm very action oriented, very vision driven. And so there's a projecting, penetrating energy that's very innate, but you kind of like, it's important to just sit in these different roles and these aspects of your life and identify which ones provide energy for you when you're sitting in them. When I sit in my masculine, I definitely feel like it's life-giving to me. And then when I fine tune that into some of these attributes of masculinity, I find them to be life-giving. And when they are, that's where I know that I'm more naturally sitting, different from like, I'd prefer not to be the CEO of a big company. Not interested in it, not the king archetype. And so I'm really, really comfortable with that. And then when you get familiar, it just becomes like the loop of, you start unconsciously incompetent, you become consciously incompetent, you move into conscious competence, and then ideally you're getting into your full-blown intuition that's competent. You're unconsciously competent. Same dynamic here. I just do think it's important because many will give the feedback that, masculine, feminine, that's stale, that's outdated, that's like poetic.
Gender
but
roles.
it's gender role. It's, sexually orienting in a old, outdated way. And I tend to disagree. I think it's a really great, gym exercise to go through until you can build those muscles up to actually flow intuitively. And then it expands outside of the relationship. And I think this is where it can get stuck is if you expect, for instance, Mimi talked about the feminine being, there's never enough love. It's love oriented. And for the masculine, there's never enough freedom. It's unendless freedom. I never have enough. If you expect the relationship to contain both of those perspectives, there's never enough freedom for me and there's never enough love for her, the relationship will break apart because you have to realize that the relationship isn't the only space to express and provide nutrients to your masculine or your feminine. And so being action oriented in the world, having purpose and freedom coming into your life outside of the domain of the relationship is nutrients for the relationship. And same with the feminine. Where else is there love? Is it nature? Is it family? Is it passion? Is it art? That will fill up your insatiable love bucket at least enough to keep the relationship from having to hold all of it. And so I think like even as we've evolved into this work, that's where we're realizing, wow, the relationship's really good, but we're here to do something, and there's this external world that we can sharpen and, continue to invest in these different attributes of ourselves and come back to the relationship and see it thriving even more so because we're now extrapolating these ideas of polarity out into a host of different spaces. And when the relationship is good, when it's in a good spot, you can begin to use that domain as a way to alchemize challenging energy from the outside world. And so life is hard. This world is chaotic. It's just a reality. If you can fix challenge and chaos within your relationship to the degree that it becomes this really safe, stable container, you can start to actually look outward and say, I might be able to address some of the shit show that's out there. And I've got kind of a passion to do so. I want to make the world a better place. And when you hit challenge from wanting to make the world a better place, and I'm just using that sort of figuratively, you can take that challenging energy back into the domain of the relationship, alchemize it into something positive, and go back with more vitality out into, whatever your endeavors look like. And I think as you evolve through this work, you start to see those opportunities more and more. And that's like currently where what's really fascinating me is like, man, this is so good. Let's continue to evolve this thing such that it really starts to like reciprocate to, I don't know, the world.
Yeah. Well, it is. It is. But that was so well said, so beautifully put. Thank you. And I mean, I agree. I think understanding masculine and feminine energy is the key to the universe, like you said, Mimi, because it's like, I mean, that's how all energy flows. That's nature. So to me, like masculine and feminine energy, understanding that, like that's how you manifest. Like everything in my life, if I'm trying to look at why am I not attracting this into my reality, it's all a balance of masculine and feminine. It's action and then receiving, right? It's doing and then resting, like all of that. And then in relationships, like I feel like, and I'm sure you'd probably agree, like most problems in a relationship at the core, there's a masculine feminine energy imbalance thing at play, right? Like where like I'm he's not hearing me because I keep communicating in my masculine, right? So it helps so much with communication as well.